Hey, what is up you guys, it's Yubifier bringing you guys another Genshin Impact video character guide. Now, the talk is all about this man right here, Big Dong Zhong, and I see that you have also pulled him. Congratulations, you won the 50-50 or you gone to pity, congrats, you got one of the best characters in the game. Now all that's left that you're wondering is, how do I build this man? How the hell do I build this beautiful looking god? Right now I'll be showing you that in this video. If you could drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification too, that would do me a huge favor. And let's just get right into the video. Now, one of the hardest thing about Zhongli is that he is easy to build yet very hard at the same time. And the reason why he's easy to build is because he is so very versatile. He can literally be put on anything. But because he can literally be put on anything, that makes him so hard to build. Is because, what do I build? There's so many options. Do I build him this way? Do I build him that way? Well, that is all dependent on you. How you want your Zhongli to manage. Now, there are some people who play Zhongli as a main DPS, and that is completely fine. There are some people that go full support Zhongli, and that is also completely fine. Now, this is a matter of what you want. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Zhongli as a DPS. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Zhongli as a DPS and the possible weapons that could go on him. Now, obviously, the number one support or even DPS is probably going to be the Staff of Homa if you do have it, but realistically, we are going to be looking at the 4-star weapons here. So the possible attack DPS weapons are definitely going to be the Royal Spear, the Deathmatch, the Blackcliff Pole, or either you're going as a physical DPS Zhongli is going to be the Crescent Pike or the Dragon Spear Spine. Yes, I know, a lot to take in, but let's just go each and every single one of them. Now, obviously, the easier way is the physical damage route, so let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. The two main spears that you are going to be using if you're going DPS Zhongli for a physical build is definitely these two. But I really do personally recommend the Dragon Spine Spear rather than the Crescent Pike, because it's not really guaranteed whenever you have your pillar up. It's not guaranteed to create an elemental particle, which means that you're not really maximizing the weapon effect. As to compare to the Dragon Spine, it's much more easier to proc, so that way you have a better chance of, just dealing more constant damage. Now, let's go ahead and talk about his other main DPS. His other main DPS is definitely going to be a geo-focused build. So that means you are almost practically going to be ult spamming with him, and he is very, very OP. And the three possible choices is the Royal Spear, Deathmatch, and the Blackcliff Pole. Now, if you take the Blackcliff Pole, it's not too bad, but it does have a downfall, which is it has a very hard time activating the weapon effect, so that's going to be a huge downfall there. But nonetheless, the critical damage is very, very nice there. As for the Deathmatch, it has good critical rate, but one of the lower base attack, and that is kind of the downfall, but I think that is perfectly fine. Also, the weapon effect is very, very good, so you can possibly have this one on him as well. And for the Royal Spear, this is just an overall attack. If you want him to have a good basic attack, and if you want him to have a good elemental skill damage and ulti damage, then this is going to be the spear for you. But honestly, I still don't really recommend it. I recommend one of these two. Now, if you are running a physical DPS Zhongli, this is what I really recommend. As for the set bonus, 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry and a 2-piece Gladiator Finale with the cup not being geo damage, but of course a physical cup damage instead. Now, of course, if you're wondering about what these 3 pieces are, it has to be attack, of course, for the main stat for the Hourglass. This one is going to be physical cup, and the helmet is going to be either a critical piece or a critical rate, depending on which one you need the most to keep it a 1/2 ratio. So that basically sums up a physical DPS Zhongli. Super easy and very, very simple. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, which is going to be quote unquote a DPS Zhongli for the Geo build, the ultimate spam. So for the ultimate spam build, you're definitely going to want a 2-piece Archaic Petra and a 2-piece Noblesse Oblige. Those are the set bonuses that I really recommend. And of course, for the helmet, it depends on whether you have more critical rates or more critical damage. Then you swap to the other side. You get what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. As for the cup, please keep it geo damage, of course. And for the cup, you definitely want energy recharge, as much energy recharge as you want, because you want that ultimate back up as fast as possible and dealing as much damage as possible as well. Now, the other option that you can definitely go for, which is what I most likely more recommend for, is going to be the attack Hourglass instead for the main stat. This is just for an example. And then for the weapon, you would want a Favonius Lance, energy recharge, something that will give you a lot of energy particles for you to be able to build up his ult, so you don't really have to focus more on his artifacts. Now, moving on to support Zhongli, the one that you have all been waiting for, and also the majority of people use him as, which is going to be a support Zhongli. Now for the weapons, of course, it still is practically the same. The number 1 spear on him is definitely going to be the Staff of Homa, and then following along the other 2 5-star spears. And then, of course, realistically, you are definitely going to be using the 4 stars. So as a support, you can either go Favonius Lance in order to get his ultimate up as fast as possible, or if you want him to also deal a little bit more damage as well, then you can also go the Blackcliff Pull or the Deathmatch as well. If you're going support, please, I swear to God, please do not put the Crescent Pike on him or the Dragon Spine Spear. Don't do it. Just have either one of these, depending on your playstyle. As for the artifacts, there are many possible ways that you can have them as well. So I personally will have them as the 4-piece Tendency of the Millith. And honestly, I think a lot of people are having him on this as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at the prioritization. Now, it has only been a couple of days since the domain has come out, so yes, some of my artifacts are kind of meh in terms of what I actually want for the substats, but this is the best that I could honestly do for right now. For the Hourglass, you probably either want attack percentage or HP percentage, depending on how you want your Zhongli to work. Now, like I said, if you want him to be a little bit more on the attack side and using him as well, then you probably would maybe want attack percentage for the main stat instead of HP. But if you want a stronger shield, then you definitely want HP on the Hourglass for Zhongli. As for the cup, now this one really depends on what you want as well. Of course, if you want him to do a little bit more damage, then go for geo damage instead. And if you want him to have a tankier shield, of course, once again, HP main stat cup. And for the helmet, it's either going to be critical rates, critical damage, or either HP percent. Now, the reason why I chose critical rate on my helmet instead of an HP, which is what I would rather have, I chose critical rate is because if I didn't have that piece, I would literally be not hitting any crit rate at all. Let's say if I put on this HP cup here, or this HP helmets, and you can already see how bad of a chance it will have in order to crit with my ulti. I want my ulti to do somewhat of a damage as well, so that's why I chose critical rate in order to boost my chances of getting damage in as well, because I want Zhongli to deal damage as well. But if you don't care about damage for Zhongli, then you can definitely just do HP, which means that he has a much more higher max amount of HP, making your shield practically invincible. Now that we got one of the most intricate pieces out of the way, the more harder ones out of the way, which is his artifacts, because there's so many options that I can go for it, let's go ahead and talk about the constellations. Now, the constellations is very easy. Honestly, I feel like there's no need to go for his constellations. Dude, he is practically OP already. He doesn't really need any constellations. But if you were to go for constellations, obviously Constellation 6 is very good. And of course, Constellation 4 is also a very nice stopping point. And definitely Constellation 2 is also very nice, which means that whenever you do your ultimate, you automatically refresh or gain a shield, meaning that you don't have to do your hold E. So if you're on a budget, Constellation 2 is definitely a very good stopping point. As for Constellation 1, I don't really think this matters because it doesn't really increase his damage, and yes it does, but at the same time it doesn't really matter whether having a second pillar is there or not. You get what I mean? And sometimes having too many pillars can also get in the way too, so honestly up to you. Second, fourth, and sixth, all good stopping points for in terms of constellations. As for the talents, the very last talent that you want to level up last is going to be the normal attack. You can see here that I only focused on the ultimate and for the E, and then I just didn't level up his normal because I don't really use his normal attacks. But of course that totally changes if you're going to be using him as a DPS. If you're going for physical DPS Zhongli, then normal attack first and then for his ultimate and then obviously his elemental skill. So yeah, that's pretty much for the talents. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Zhongli. If you're curious about my Zhongli and his stats, let me just go switch this out to my regular one. And these are my stats currently for him. So 50 chance to get a crit, and that's my damage there. And yeah, and honestly I'm still really experimenting him too, especially with this new set as well. I might want to change this one into an HP cup, so who knows what will happen, because I'm very curious what if he might do a little bit more better with an HP cup instead of a geo damage cup, right? So I'm still experimenting. Overall, Zhongli is such a great character, one of the best 5-star characters in the game as of right now. Like I think he will be one of the best characters for a very long time, not unless a similar character comes along and just completely crushes him to the ground. And if you are debating whether to pull for him or not, please do pull for him. He is one of the best characters in the game. But anyways guys, that is practically the whole rundown list of Zhongli. He can be super versatile. Like there is so many ways that you can build him, which is the thing that I love yet hate about him, because there's no simple, oh, just build him this way and he'll be perfect. No, there's many different ways that you can definitely build Zhongli, which is the best thing about him yet the worst thing about him too, because you're just so overwhelmed with all of these options as well. But once again guys, if you guys could hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, that will do me a huge favor, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.